Hey, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner of Talking Giants, and you are listening to the Big Blue Podcast.
Welcome to the show where something as good as Dave Gettleman getting fired can still turn out as bad as possible, with Joe Judge possibly still being the head coach of this team. Welcome to a new episode of the Big Blue Podcast. My name, of course, is Dan. With me, as always, is my co-host, O. Now, before we get into anything, we have a very important announcement. And with that being said, I'm just going to hand it off to my co-host, O.
All right, so I've decided to leave the podcast. It was a great opportunity to learn.
I'm kidding.
No, it was a great opportunity to learn about the podcast world. It's because of this opportunity, I've been able to learn so much about not just podcasting, but we've been able to get on YouTube, so I've been able to learn the ins and out of that as well. So it's nothing against Daniel. I think, we both understand that our schedules really don't work out, and that kind of limits us to the content we put out. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. And to improve the quality of the content, I feel like it's better if we, go separate ways, because, you'll be able to put out more content on your own time. And then, I've decided that, with my Instagram page, I want to start, my own YouTube page. So, thank you for this opportunity. Good thing it's ending on a great note, because if it was, Dave Gettleman staying, or Joe Judge is getting extended or something like that, that would have been the worst way to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Gettleman staying possibly, or Judge being reinstated, that would have not reinstated, extended. That would have been insane. But it sucks. Because we literally, we just started too. We didn't start that long ago. We started literally right when the season began and everything, and the podcast grew quite a bit since then. Instagram page got big, gained I think 100 followers since then. Got tons of views on a lot of episodes and everything. And to show how thankful I am, that you were able to come on, co-host, and join me, I am giving you my Sean O'Hara. It's blurred out because God knows why, but I'll unblur my camera for 1 second. My Sean O'Hara autograph.
It's crazy because I actually have his autograph too. So.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah.
Well, all right. Well,
I got it at FanFest, but on a football.
Yeah, no, because he was at the game on Sunday that I went to, which was such a blast. Oh my God, watching that pick six right in front of me, holy shit! And then watching him throw that last pick at the end of the game, that was great. Jake Fromm, baby, you gotta love it. But I wanted to show how thankful I am that you were able to come on the show and join me and co-host and all that, because without you, a lot of shit would not have gotten done. Probably wouldn't have been able to really get on YouTube, because I'm dumbfounded. I don't know how to do this shit. I'm really just the fucking voice. You were the brains. But listen, overall, these past couple months, even though December really wasn't our month in terms of recording, also doesn't help that the Giants sucked cock. It's been fun and everything, and we're going to end it on a high note like we always do, because, we've been doing that all fucking year. After every loss, we try to make every episode positive and good, whether it's us shitting on how terrible Jason Garrett was, or us talking about how great Kadarius Toney looked on one play. Let's just fucking get into it, all right? So, with all that being said, there's a lot of stuff that needs to go down in this offseason and everything. And I literally made a whole entire note sheet, or worksheet, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But stuff the Giants need to get done. But we're only going to go over two specific things: GM replacement and offensive coordinator replacement. So with all that being said, we're going to go over the GM candidates that could be in line to replace Dave Gettleman. Now, there are a lot of names and everything, but key names in particular are, unfortunately, Kevin Abrams, who is the assistant GM, right, of our
I mean, we
organization.
could include him on there, but I don't think so. He'll get the job. I mean, he'll definitely get an interview, but I think they've already ruled out him as replacing Dave Gettleman. So doubt it happens.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. We got guys like John Dorsey, Louis Riddick, Ed Hobbs, Joe Schoen, and Adrian Wilson. And then we got guys that like I didn't really think would even like get the thought of trying to go for the job, but a guy like Daniel Jeremiah, it is a slight possibility. I doubt it's going to happen, but that'd be interesting just because, dude's been on NFL Network for God knows how long. If Mike Mayock can do it, so can he, I guess. But and then you got the Bill Belichick route. You got Joe Judge himself. Doubt that one's going to happen, but you never know. But let's go over just a couple of key names that I've just said. Let's we've already spoken about John Dorsey and Louis Riddick. Let's talk about Ed Hobbs. All right.
I think it's Ed Dobbs.
Ed Dobbs or Ed Hobbs?
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Yeah.
Dobbs? Let's see. Ed Dobbs. And of course, Siri didn't know who I was talking about. All right, so screw it. Mr. GM of the Indianapolis Colts. Let's go with that. Because that's what he is. But
I mean, I think he's assistant GM.
Assistant. Oh, that's right. Well, I'm gonna look him up right now anyway. Listen, just to know what it is at Dobbs. All right. So to see what him and the GM in Indianapolis were able to pull off these past couple of years for the Indianapolis Colts. It's just insane. They got guys like Quinn Nelson, Jonathan Taylor, Mo Alley Cox, Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, and the list goes on, right? And to have a guy like him who is I wouldn't say a draft guru, but he's really good at drafting and everything, and he's not bad at free agency and making trades himself. I would really be hopeful if we can get a guy like Ed Dobbs.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen that with the Colts. They've had one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and then in like 2 seasons, they completely turn it around, and now they're arguably one of the best offensive lines, led by Quentin Nelson. And every offseason, you see that they're always up there in cap space. Even last year, we had like around 20 million, but like we were able to create space. They were up there with like 60 million. It's not even last year, it was every single year, and they don't spend in free agency, but they always have the cap to do so.
Yeah, no, it's insane because like it just shows how young that team really is and everything. With guys like I said, Quinn Nelson, Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, and then you got veteran minds on there who surprisingly not even that expensive either. Carson Wentz, his contract's not really going to be that expensive simply because Eagles, they're paying the dead cap for him right now. And then you got guys like T.Y. Hilton, who from right signed a 1-year deal over there. He's probably done after this season. Wow, I cannot think of any other.
I mean, what a find in Michael Pittman too. He was like a mid-round pick too. Become a stud this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pittman had a really good year. And then you got guys like Isaiah Wilson who got some reps in at I think at nickel, and he ended up getting like one or two game-winning plays, whether it was an interception or a swat. That just shows that how good this Colts team really is. Unfortunately, they missed the playoffs literally just by a game simply because they got railed by the Jaguars. I don't know how that's possible, but
they haven't beat the Jaguars. I think they were away or home. I don't know. I think they were home, but they haven't beat the Jaguars in like forever at home.
It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. But listen, overall, if we got Ed Dobbs as a GM, would not complain about that at all. I think it'd be a really good decision considering that the Colts have been one of the biggest big brains, masterminds in the league when it comes to drafting and free agency and everything, because they know that team, they know what they're doing. Frank Reich and that GM, I really don't remember his name. And I watched a video with him in it too of him on the Pat McAfee show at draft night talking to a Mad Mel Kiper. But what are you gonna do? Let's see, who do we got next? Let's talk about Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen. This dude, his name got brought up a lot today at the time of this recording, which is January 11th. His name was brought up a lot in the past 24 to 48 hours. He is the assistant GM in Buffalo. And just like Indianapolis, you look at the team they've built in the past couple of years. It's insane. They have a really good, solid offensive line, all right? Decent run game. But then you look at that you look at who they got at quarterback, and you look at their receivers, pretty good right there. And then you look at their defense. They got playmakers all around the field, and it's just insane how they were able to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, he's been brought up before too, but I think he was one of those guys that didn't really seem realistic. But now, recently, with all the news, it seems that he is, and he's actually the first guy the Giants are going to interview on Wednesday. So that's really exciting to see. And with Joe Schoen, it's we've seen Josh Allen and them rebuilding after taking Josh Allen. It's insane because they completely blew it up. When I mean completely, not just the roster, they blew up the scouting department. So he's been part of a team where they've built this entire department from the ground up. So if the Giants need something like that, because right now we just suck. We haven't been drafted. Our drafting hasn't been the best. And even free agency. So if Joe Schoen comes in here, decides that he wants to completely just, blow it up, he can, and he's been successful in rebuilding it too. So I think if we could get him, that'd be a great hire.
Yeah, no, because just the fact that he was able to really build from the ground up with that whole entire staff in such a short amount of time is insane. So, seeing a guy like him up for candidacy is just it's good to see. Again, especially if he gets hired too. But like we just said, you look at the team they've built around Josh Allen and everything. You got Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox. Wow, I really cannot think of their offensive line at all. Deion Dawkins.
The thing with their offensive line, I think last year it was pretty good. It was average or above average. I think this year they've been decent, but their run game, I think, has been lacking. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully he can turn it around here.
I think the only reason why their run game has been lacking is because they're struggling to find a successor to LaShawn McCoy. Devin Singletary's not bad at all, but it's just that for starters, he's really short, but that shouldn't even be an issue. You got running backs that are really freaking small doing great in the NFL. I don't know what it is with him. I mean, he did go to Florida Atlantic University. That's not really a football school. So, and then you got, what's his name? Zach Moss. He's not bad. He's a touchdown getter though. He's not, he can't get you. He can't run the ball down the field for you. So if anything, he's a good red zone running back, which, for fantasy, I was not complaining about that at all. But,
to add on to,
what?
To add on to him, if he becomes a GM, and he'll probably bring along Brian Daboll, so he'll probably want Judge fired with him. So if we interview him Friday, let's say if he's really interested, the Giants are interested, and something gets done by the end of the week or early next week, we could see Judge getting fired, because there's no way that Brian Daboll, who's a head coach candidate this year, and they're both being from Buffalo, there's no way that he's going to leave his guy hanging there. So it's possible that Judge gets fired, we hire Daboll. So I mean, for those of you who want Judge fired, me included, that'd be a dream scenario.
See, that is a strong possibility, and we're gonna get into that in just a moment. Before we do though, let's talk about the last very interesting candidate that I wrote down. Adrian Wilson. Now, I found this one to be really interesting because I know him as a 5-time Pro Bowler for the Cardinals. I know him as one of the best safeties in the league when he played. Apparently in 2015, he became a scout and he's worked his way up. So seeing where he is now, first off, he's 42 years old. I didn't think he was that old. But to see where he is now in that Cardinals staff room, a key member in that staff room, helping them draft, helping them sign key players and everything. He was definitely one of the key guys that were trying to get guys like Kyler Murray on board, JJ Watt, maybe not Chandler Jones, because I know Chandler Jones. I'm trying to think of it. Chandler Jones. When did he start in Arizona? Because I know he started with the Patriots. Whatever. That's off topic. But Adrian Wilson started off as just a scout on that team, and he's built his way up to a key role in that staff room. And in all truth and honesty, I feel like having a young guy like Adrian Wilson would be huge to have in this front office, just because, like, for starters, he played football. All right. Now, I know you playing a sport and being a GM, two complete different things. But at the same time, he did play the sport, and he knows the new modern way of playing football now. He's not going to be like Dave Gettleman or Jerry Jones, where you're stuck in like the freaking 90s and 80s and you think you're going to win every freaking year. Newsflash, Jerry Jones, you're not winning this year, buddy. Just letting you know. I don't even know who you guys are playing. Wait, you're playing the Niners. Dude, Deebo Samuel is literally going to run the ball down your throat. Just letting you know, buddy. I had to insult the Cowboys on O's last episode. I had to do that. I always did it. But listen, I think having a young guy like Adrian Wilson would be really big.
Yeah, I mean, I think
front office.
Yeah, I mean, we already see like the innovativeness because, Kyler Murray, not a lot of. I mean, he was a top prospect, but they took Josh Rosen the year before, and they still decided to take quarterback again. So it shows that he's not scared to make big moves. Obviously, he wasn't the GM, but he was definitely involved in the decision. So that's good to see. They've traded for DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz. Sign JJ Watt. So we've seen that they have balls to make moves, and also they've changed the Cardinals franchise in like 2-3 years. They were absolutely shit when Josh Rosen was there, and then they hired Cliff Kingsbury and then Kyler Murray, and then it took a couple of years to get everything going, but they were still winning games. It's not like they were at the bottom of the league like they used to be. So if he gets hired here, hopefully, concern is the offensive line. Cardinals' offensive line isn't the greatest. So hopefully with the 2 first round picks, he could try to take advantage of that and build the line.
Absolutely. And just looking at his resume right now, he's been a Cardinal his whole life. Well, minus he actually got traded to the Patriots. I didn't even know that. Or he's played with the Patriots in 2013. Pretty much has been a Cardinal. Yeah, pretty much has been a Cardinal his whole career. And as an executive, he started off as a regional scout for 3 years. Then in the past, for his first 3 years, he was a regional scout. Then the past 3 years, just now, out of 6 years, first 3 was a regional. Last year and the year before, he was a director of pro scouting. This year, he was the vice president of pro scouting. So notice how his let's go with his vision. His vision and his capability of scouting went up every single time. So that just shows how much the Cardinals really put trust into him. And like I said, having a new fresh face outside of the organization, a young guy brought in, that's huge. I'm not trying to have a guy who was a part of this organization from 2007 back on this front office, unless it's Tom Coughlin. I would not complain about him just because it's Tom Coughlin. But at the same time, I want a fresh face. I really do. And I think with all that being said, let's now talk about the other key. Well, I mean, first, do you have anything left to say about GM?
I think we didn't mention him. Adam Peters for the 49ers. He's also a name that's been brought up recently. I think he's been there for 18 seasons and someone that they really like. Someone that they don't want to see walk. So we're interviewing him. We requested an interview. So even if we get him or, he's someone, he's one of our top candidates and he falls to us, that'd be great too. We've seen, they've drafted Deebo Samuel in the recent years and, went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, says a lot. So, Not a bad
Yeah.
option there.
Yeah, you just look at the team they have as well. Listen, they made it to the Super Bowl not that long ago. Drafted Nick Bosa, George Kittle, um, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Managed to pull off the trade to get Jimmy G. Drafted Trey Lance. Can't forget about that. And then you look at the O line they got too. They traded for what's it, Terrence Williams,
Or yeah,
the
or
left
Trent Williams.
tackle. Williams. They trade for a left tackle. They trade for an all-pro left tackle, whatever the hell his name is. But they also got Mike McGlinchey. He's a good Mike McGlinchey. Is it Mike McGlinchey? Yeah, it is Mike McGlinchey. Good right tackle. And even before Trent Williams, they had Joe Staley, had him for God knows how freaking long. I'm trying to think of who else they have on that line. Wow. Overall, they have a good O line, and another thing, they've always had a good run game, right? They really did good stacking up on the run game. You know, they had Raheem Mostert. At one point, they had Raheem Mostert.
They have
Jerick
Alex Mack. I
McKinnon.
forgot about him. Their center.
They have him.
Yeah.
Wow, I completely forgot he went there. I thought he was still in Atlanta. Shit. Wow. Okay. He might retire too, but who knows? They're making the playoffs, so he's definitely not retiring anytime soon, unless they lose to the Cowboys, which they won't. But yeah, no, it's definitely another key name to really think of. You know, listen, notice how all the names we had brought up, besides me saying Kevin Abrams, they're all from the outside. Okay,
Yeah,
we do not want what?
No, I think this is finally the year that we see them going outside the building. I think they've seen, at least John Mary's seen that in-house it hasn't been working. Dave Gettleman's been in-house. Kevin Abrams with the team since like 1999. So it just hasn't been working. You know, this family-run business, keeping it in-house is not a good idea. It used to work. It's not working now because the philosophy is the same. Whoever replaces the previous GM, it's going to be the same thing, but just a different name at GM. So, we bring in someone else with a fresh mind, someone who doesn't have ties to the history of the Giants. That'd be a great thing for us going forward.
What's like the funniest thing though is that when Jerry Reese first became the GM of the Giants, he was already a part of the Giants. He started off as a college scout in 94, got bumped up to pro scout in 97, then got bumped up to director of player personnel in 2004. Then he became the GM in 07. So he was the GM for 10 years. And in those 10 years, drafted a lot of great players, and he won 2 Super Bowls. That's something that a lot of people forget. And now, while, yeah, we did bring someone up from the system, he was also very young. So right now he is 58. Let's take off 5 years. So that would be 53. He was 43 years old when he became the GM. That's how old Adrian Wilson is right now. So while, yeah, we brought someone in from the inside, we also brought in a young guy. Because at 42 years old, crap, that's like, at this point, that's basically pro athletes officially retiring from their sport. Well, if you live a healthy career. But at this point where we are, and you can notice that like we really, from the looks of it, we really are going to get someone from the outside because Steve Tisch is involved. I pointed this out to you before, and you probably already knew it, but when Steve Tisch gets involved, that just shows it's serious. Because Steve Tisch, he's been doing what we want John Mara to do. He stays away, he doesn't even bother, But that now that he realizes how shit this franchise has really become, he's like, all right, shit, I'm gonna have to get involved. Starts cracking his knuckles, fucking getting ready and everything. Pulls out the pen and paper.
Could be our savior here.
God. Yeah, really fucking shaves his 5 o'clock shadow, gets ready to go to work and everything. Oh my God. And oh man, I really hate it how like we every freaking year I've been like, oh, this is the year we're gonna do good. This is it. Probably gonna be the same way in August. Probably gonna be like,
but I mean, last year I was really optimistic. This year I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. I'm not gonna get my hopes up too high until like 3 years from now.
No, absolutely. Because like I remember just looking at the roster we had, and even even without Adoree and freaking Kenny Galladay coming onto the team, I was like, yeah, this team's looking good. Then with them, I was like, holy shit, this team's looking great. And at
Yeah,
least
things
one of
turn
those
around real
signings panned
quick.
out. One of them panned out. The other one, fucking had a freaking blind guy for a fucking coordinator. Anyway, before I get into that, well, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about coordinator finally. So Jason Garrett was fired midseason. We're not surprised by that. Freddie Kitchens had to step in for him in late November. Now, there is a slight chance Freddie Kitchens will try to go back for the job. I kind of hope not. But, if he does, what are you going to do?
I mean, he'll probably be the first interview.
Yeah,
And
no.
being friends
he
with Joe
definitely
Judge.
will be. What's even funnier, though, is that, like, if we do fire Joe Judge, I feel like Patrick Graham might be in the running too, though.
Exactly.
For head coach and even for defensive coordinator. I hope we keep him as a defensive coordinator if we do get rid of Joe Judge, because I don't want to get rid of Patrick Graham. He actually is a really good defensive coordinator. He's one of the best in the league, in my opinion. And the players love him. The players love Patrick Graham. I mean, Blake Martinez, I think, proposed to him on fucking Instagram. I could be wrong about that. But
yeah,
anyway,
to keep him here last year.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a couple of key candidates for offensive coordinator that I wrote down. I don't really have to go into the first name. I've brought him up, I think, 8 different times already. Anthony Lynn, dude's a great play caller out in LA with Justin Herbert, and it wasn't even that bad last year with Jared Goff. I mean, crap. The last couple of games of the season, Anthony Lynn made Amon-Ra St. Brown look like a top 10 receiver in the league. For some reason, I don't know how, but he did. Jim Caldwell, aka man who should have never gotten fired, literally got fired after going 9-7 with the Lions. They have not been good ever since. And also, fun fact, he was the offensive coordinator for the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl in 2012. Ken Dorsey, if I'm right, he's a college coach. Anthony Rivardo on Twitter said that if who would he say that whoever becomes GM, they should go for Ken Dorsey, whatever. But Ken Dorsey's another key name. Frank Smith, if I'm right, he's an assistant offensive coordinator on, I can't think of the team. I think it's the Chiefs, but I could be wrong. And then we got Josh Gaddis, who is the offensive coordinator out in Michigan. Michigan made it to the Final Four in the college playoffs. I think that's a pretty good accomplishment there alone, considering Michigan blows cock almost every fucking year. But we have a lot of key names and everything. Honestly, I would not complain about any of these names, but if I had to choose, I'd probably choose between Jim Caldwell and Anthony Lynn.
There's a guy that you didn't break up. I'm not saying I want him, but it just because he's been rumored. I think it was today. You probably won't like the name, but Bill O'Brien. I think the Giants or Joe Judge has reached out to him for a possible offensive coordinator position. So,
What's so funny about that? I'm sorry for cutting you off. What's so funny about that is, like, when I saw the notification, I didn't actually get that upset because, like, just as an offensive coordinator, that may not be that bad. I mean, he was the OC for Tom Brady, and he was the play caller for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson was doing great. Deshaun Watson was a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL when he was on the field. And Tom Brady, there's really not much else to say. It's Tom fucking Brady. So at least having a guy like Bill O'Brien, we might be guaranteed to – oh, and also another thing. Under Bill O'Brien, he has had Pro Bowlers at almost every single offensive position except for tight end. I can't think of a Pro Bowler that's played for him at the tight end position. But like I said, you got Deshaun Watson. At the receivers, he's had guys like Andre Johnson, Will Fuller. Will Fuller's not a Pro Bowler, but he's a good player and everything. Who else has he had at receiver? Wow, why can't I?
I mean, Hopkins, the obvious one.
Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. Oh my gosh. Wow, I really only know him as a Cardinal now at this point. Yeah, he has DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Miller, what's his name?
Brandon Cooks.
Who?
Brandon Cooks.
Oh, Brandon Cooks, yeah, but was Brandon Cooks there by then? Yeah, right?
Yeah,
By the time he got there? Okay.
think
Yes,
so.
no, because he came in once they traded away D Hop. Okay. Um, who else? I can't think of the running back. Oh my God. Arian Foster. He also had Arian Foster, who was one of the best running backs in the NFL when he was playing. And then you look at who he had on, well, we can't really focus on defense, but offense overall, he's a good play caller and everything. I would not complain about him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think his because he was also the GM with the Houston Texans, and that's a lot for anyone to handle. I mean, Bill Belichick does it, but that's Bill Belichick because he was the head coach and the GM with Houston. That's a lot of responsibility on one person. He was doing pretty good, but before that too. So I mean, might not be a bad option. I mean, Hopkins, he developed Deshaun Watson. They made the playoffs. Their offense they were ranked pretty high. So, we don't have the talent that they did, but they also didn't have a great offensive line. They only had, Hopkins, and then besides for that, I guess you could say Brandon Cooks. They did have Will Fuller, but he was barely on the field. And we have comparable skill players. So it's possible. And, he took, his OC and everything at Alabama, but, they went to the championship like they do almost every year. But still, their offense is not bad. He's also developed Bryce Young. Let's say if we do want to bring in Bill O'Brien this year and then next year we want to draft a quarterback and it's Bryce Young, that could be a great pairing. So it could just work out, but not advocating for him, but no, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just like looking at all the names and everything, Bill O'Brien, Jim Caldwell, Anthony Lynn, Dorsey, Frank Smith, Josh Gaddis. There's a lot of guys that we really could have fill in this position. And thank God one of them is not Jason Garrett. That's all that fucking matters. Um, I think that's gonna do it. I think that's gonna do it for us. We really didn't go into offensive coordinator as much as we did with GM, but I think that's only because like right now in current time, GM is the main focus right now, considering that like we're getting interviews for GM and everything. And of course, once that domino falls, the offensive coordinator domino will fall as well. Simply because you can't hire an offensive coordinator without a GM. A GM wants to set up the team the way he wants to set it up. And of course, the way Dave Gettleman was setting it up, it's like he went to fucking Barnes and Noble and he bought how to set up a football team for dummies. Like it's fucking abysmal.
Yeah, I mean,
But
right now you can't. I mean, you can't really say anything about the offensive coordinator position when the head coaching position is a big question mark, and we
exactly.
think Judge is going to come back, but never know.
Exactly. But even with Judge, see, the reason why I put all this down is because at the time when I was typing this, everyone was like, "Oh, Joe Judge is coming back. Joe Judge is coming back. Joe Judge is coming back." That's why I was like, "Okay, bet." But if Joe Judge doesn't come back and we let him go, there's like a slight possibility guys like Caldwell and Anthony Lynn, they could go from just being an offensive coordinator option to maybe even a head coach option. Now, in terms of head coaching, I'm mixed on Anthony Lynn because his last time he was a head coach, he had a pretty rough time as a head coach. Now,
Yeah,
granted,
I wouldn't really want him.
yeah, I would love him as an offensive guy, but maybe not defense, And maybe just not as a head coach. An offensive coordinator, though, that's a different story. Jim Caldwell, I would not complain about at all. He actually is a good head coach. He shouldn't have gotten fired to begin with. It really makes no sense. And then even if now that we're on head coach, you can bring in a guy like Brian Flores into the situation, which would rub so much salt on the wound for Joe Judge. So much fucking salt. Holy shit. And then that even rubs salt on Matt Patricia's wounds too. Because, you got another Bill Belichick guy who's doing good. He shouldn't, in all truth and honesty, Brian Flores should not have gotten fired. He should not have gotten fired at all.
I still don't understand that. It makes no sense. Yeah, he had problems with upper management, but like, what does that have to do with coaching?
Yeah, exactly. They literally went 10-6 last year, barely missing the playoffs. And this year they went, 9-8?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like
Winning
come on,
records
dude.
both the
They
seasons.
literally, yeah, above 500 both years. Clearly, there's improvement, albeit there's like a slight decline from 10-6. But at the same time, like you also got to remember, one, they just added an extra game, and two, you've had issues all year long with the quarterback position and injuries. There's been issues all around the fucking organization. All right, so I feel like just firing a guy like Brian Flores is just insane. And to see guys like saying like we should bring him in as like an OC, that doesn't make sense. Just because like he's not an offensive guy. He's coached offensively before, but I think it was in college or like when he first started with the Patriots. All right, he is a defensive minded guy. So with that being said, I wouldn't want Flores as an OC. If I'm gonna get Flores, I might as well just get him as a head coach at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
Plus,
he's not
he's
going to
from New
take
York.
anything less than he is.
Yeah, he is. He's from Brooklyn.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep.
But I mean,
Brian
he's not going to take
Flores
anything,
is a New Yorker.
and he's not going to take anything less than the head coaching position because I mean, he won't even entertain the possibility of OC or I mean DC
I think he'd only want to be DC
if it's
if
back
like
in New England.
yeah, exactly. Like if it was, or maybe even I mean, honestly, he could take a head coaching job in Houston because of freaking
Dave
what's his
Foley.
name, Nick
Oh, yeah,
Casario
yeah.
out there.
I think they
Because
still
their
haven't
head
fired.
coach is gone.
I think they still haven't fired him though.
Yeah, but he's most likely going to be gone. There's been tons of reports saying that he's a one and done coach. And oh man, there's so much to get into right now, but really it all comes down to at this point for the Giants, who are they going to hire as their GM? It's what it all comes down to, right? And tomorrow they're going to get an interview with Joe Schoen. Really excited about that. Hopefully Adrian Wilson accepts that interview request. And we didn't go into him, but Louis Riddick, I don't know anymore at this point, considering we haven't heard a single report of his name at all. Same goes for guys like John Dorsey, and I haven't even heard Ed Hobbs' name, surprisingly. But
Yeah,
I will say this though, I hope we get to hear Hobbs' name or Dobbs' name. I hope we get to hear Dobbs. I hope we get to hear Dorsey, because like those are two names I'd really want to get to have in our office, especially John Dorsey, just because like dude literally plays GM with a rifle. Dude fucking goes after and he gets it. It's insane.
yeah. I mean, I don't really. I could care less about Dorsey if we're getting in the guys that we are right now. Ed Dobbs, I at least get him in for interview. The Colts would probably decline it just because they love him a lot, and possibly take over their GM position whenever whoever the GM steps down or whatever happens there. But I just want Dobbs to come in. Even if he's not. If he's handcuffed, he's not going to accept the job, and that's kind of a good thing too, because the mayor was like, okay, that he's a top GM candidate, and why isn't he even entertaining the job? Because and then he'll realize that I can't handcuff the organization any longer. So, I think mayor's learning slowly, but it's happening, so that's good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just it's gonna be an interesting week or two. And with all that being said, that's going to do it for us for today. All right. And that's going to be the last time I'm going to say that with O in the on the show. Holy shit. This is nuts. This is insane. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. All right. It's been so much fun doing this over the season and everything. Going to put out an update episode within the next week or so, just to figure out what the hell we're gonna do without O and whatnot. But let's not focus on that right now. All right. Thank you guys so much for. Wait. What did Alex Wilson just tweet out? Giants will have competition with the Bears and others for Joe Schoen. They must act quick if they want to get their top GM candidate. Again, if Schoen impresses them on Wednesday, they have to move fast and land him. Okay. It'll kind of be like Matt Rule going for the interview in Carolina, and they didn't want him to walk out the door. But anyway, listen, it's It's been a great season, guys. All right. Albeit we went 4-13. Hasn't been really a good season in terms of the wins and loss record, but overall, it was a blast. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening over this whole entire season. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching for the past couple of episodes or whatever. All right. It's been a whole lot of fun. And before I get into us signing off, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity again. Hopefully we could work together in the future. I brought up a possibility of, us going live on YouTube, at least one time a week or something like that, have our own show. I want to, I don't know what else to say. I'm just grateful. I was grateful for this opportunity, and hopefully, hopefully you're able to grow a ton, after I leave. So good luck to you.
And same to you, my man. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. All right. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at The Big Blue Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Big Blue Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at The Big Blue Pod 4. All right. Everything is down here somewhere. You'll see it. Make sure you got us on Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. Thank you guys so what did I forget something?
No, sorry.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, stay safe and thank you.
Recordings.